the ex-president a bromance gone wrong. So, you know how sometimes you see two people and you think, wow, they're perfect for each other? Maybe not in a romantic way, but in a, these two personalities are so big they could form their own solar system kind of way. That was Elon Musk and Donald Trump. For a minute there, it seemed like a match made in political heaven. You had the tech billionaire visionary and the populist president, both masters of the tweet, both with a flair for the dramatic. It was a strategic partnership, a beautiful bromance of convenience. They were on advisory councils together, they were saying nice things about each other, it was all sunshine and rocket launches, but like many epic relationships, this one hit some turbulence. And I'm not talking about a little bump in the road, I'm talking about a full-on, high-altitude public feud, the kind where insults fly faster than a SpaceX rocket and threats are exchanged like trading cards. The love story turned into a spectacular breakup, playing out for all of us to see on social media and cable news. It went from handshakes and photo ops, to accusations of being a bullshit artist and threats to revoke citizenship, normal friend stuff. So what happened? How did we get from strategic partners to this political cage match? It wasn't just one thing, it was a slow burn that exploded into a wildfire. Today we're going to break it all down. We're going to dive deep into the 4 key moments, the 4 major cracks that shattered this alliance of giants. From policy disagreements to deeply personal insults, we're gonna unpack the epic fallout between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Grab your popcorn because this is a good one. Alright, let's set the scene. The year is 2017. Trump is in the White House feeling good, signing things with a big, bold Sharpie. He unveils this massive spending package, what he calls the One Big Beautiful Bill. And you know Trump, when he calls something beautiful, he expects everyone to agree. It's like when your friend shows you their new baby, you just have to say, "Aw," even if it looks a little bit like a potato. This bill was Trump's baby. It was huge, it covered everything, and in his mind it was perfect. A monument to his deal-making prowess. But then, along comes Elon Musk. Now Musk was part of Trump's business advisory council at the time. You'd think he'd be on board, right? A team player? Nope. Musk took one look at this beautiful bill and basically said, this is garbage. He didn't just disagree quietly in a meeting, he went public, tweeting that the bill was fiscally irresponsible and packed with pork. He was especially critical of the parts that didn't align with his vision for a green future, specifically the lack of robust support for electric vehicles. For Musk, this wasn't just a bad bill, it was a betrayal of the future. You can imagine how well that went down in the Oval Office. Trump does not like criticism, especially not from someone he thought was on his team. It was like bringing a vegan to your all-you-can-eat steakhouse and having them lecture you about cholesterol in front of everyone. The backlash was immediate and fierce. Trump's allies started whispering and then shouting that Musk was being a hypocrite. They pointed out that Musk's companies like Tesla and SpaceX had benefited massively from federal contracts and government support. The message was clear: how dare you bite the hand that feeds you? This was the first major crack in the foundation. Trump saw Musk's criticism not as a policy disagreement but as a personal betrayal. He felt Musk was ungrateful, a guy who took government money with one hand and slapped him with the other. He started making calls, letting it be known that those juicy federal contracts weren't guaranteed. He was sending a message: you're either with me, or you might find your government funding suddenly experiencing technical difficulties. The beautiful bromance was officially on the rocks. So after the fight over the One Big Beautiful Bill, things were tense. But the real fireworks started when the conversation turned to something very near and dear to Elon Musk's hard electric vehicle subsidies. See, for years the United States government had been giving tax credits to people who bought electric cars. It was a way to encourage green technology, and it was a huge reason why Tesla became the giant it is today. These subsidies were like the spinach to Popeye for the EV market. They made it strong. Then, President Trump and his administration started making noise about cutting them. They argued that the market should decide, that companies like Tesla were big enough to stand on their own 2 feet without government handouts. From Trump's perspective, he was cutting wasteful spending and getting the government out of the way. He saw it as a classic conservative move, a way to level the playing field. To him, these credits were just propping up companies for the coastal elite, and it was time to pull the plug. Well, Elon Musk heard this, and to put it mildly, he lost his mind. He saw this not as a principled stand on free markets, but as a direct attack on his company and the entire green energy movement. He went on a media blitz, arguing that cutting these tax credits would be catastrophic. He said it would kill American jobs, stifle innovation, and hand the future of electric vehicles over to China. He wasn't just defending his bottom line, he was framing this as a battle for America's technological soul. This is where the name-calling really ramped up. Trump, feeling attacked and undermined, went public and essentially called Musk a welfare queen in a flight suit. He painted Musk as just another corporate lobbyist, begging for government cash. He repeatedly labeled Musk as ungrateful, a guy who built his empire on the back of taxpayer dollars and now had the audacity to complain. The narrative was set. Trump was the champion of the taxpayer, and Musk was the greedy billionaire who couldn't survive without his government check. The policy disagreement had become a morality play, and both men were casting the other as the villain. If the first two chapters were about policy, this next one is where things got personal. Really personal, like reading your diary out loud at the family reunion personal. After the subsidy fight, Elon Musk seemed to decide that the gloves were off. He wasn't just going to disagree with Trump's policies anymore, he was going to attack the man himself, and his weapon of choice? The platform he would one day own, Twitter. He started taking shots, questioning Trump's character, his leadership, everything. The jabs were relentless, and they were public. Musk didn't hold back. He called Trump's presidency chaotic and disruptive in a bad way. But the real turning point was when Musk publicly endorsed the idea of impeaching Trump. This wasn't just a random tweet, this was a high-profile CEO, a supposed captain of industry, calling for the removal of the sitting president of the United States. For the Trump administration and his supporters, this was the ultimate act of betrayal. It was one thing to disagree on tax credits, it was another thing entirely to join the resistance. This public campaign completely soured any remaining goodwill. You have to understand, in Trump's world, loyalty is everything. It's the highest currency. When Musk called for his impeachment, it was seen as an unforgivable sin. The relationship, which was already fractured, was now shattered. Trump's inner circle began to view Musk not just as an ungrateful business partner, but as an active political enemy. He had crossed a line from which there was no coming back. The public nature of these insults is key. Musk could have voiced his concerns privately, through back channels, but he chose to do it in the most visible way possible. It was a declaration of war. He was using his massive platform to challenge Trump's authority and legitimacy. This transformed their feud from a DC insider squabble into a global spectacle. Every tweet, every comment, was another log on the fire, ensuring that any chance of reconciliation was burned to a crisp. The battle was no longer just about bills and subsidies, it was about pride, ego, and public humiliation. So we've had policy fights and personal insults. What's next in the breakup playbook? Escalation. This is the part of the movie where someone says, "You think that was bad? Hold my beer." After Musk's very public attacks, Trump decided it was time to retaliate, and he went for the jugular. He started dropping hints in public, at his rallies and in interviews, about Musk's lifestyle. He didn't just call him ungrateful anymore, he started publicly questioning Musk's stability, making not-so-subtle allegations about his supposed drug use. This was a massive escalation. Trump was attempting to damage Musk's reputation not just as a political opponent, but as a business leader. By suggesting Musk was on drugs, he was attacking his credibility as the CEO of major publicly traded companies like Tesla and the head of SpaceX, a company with sensitive government contracts. It was a calculated move designed to spook investors, board members, and the Pentagon. The message was clear: I can destroy your professional life. It was a threat aimed right at the heart of Musk's empire. Musk, not one to be outdone in the drama department, responded with his own power move. He didn't just fire back with another insult, he threatened to become a kingmaker. He started talking about funding a third-party presidential candidate, someone to challenge both the Democrats and the Republicans. This was a direct threat to Trump's political future. Musk was essentially saying, if you come after me, I will use my billions to split your vote and make sure you never see the inside of the White House again. It was a checkmate move in the world of high-stakes politics. This is where it reached its peak. The final, most extreme threat came from Trump's camp. The whispers started, if Trump were to be re-elected, he could and would go after Musk in every way possible. They talked about pulling all federal subsidies from his companies, launching investigations, and the ultimate threat, questioning his U.S. citizenship. Remember, Musk was born in South Africa. The threat to revoke his citizenship, however legally dubious, was the nuclear option. It was a signal that for Trump this was no longer about politics or business. It was a vendetta. The fallout was complete, and it was scorched earth. So there you have it. The epic collapse of the Musk-Trump alliance. It wasn't a sudden implosion but a slow, painful demolition. It started with professional disagreements over policy, with clashes over spending bills and EV subsidies. But it didn't stay professional for long. The feud quickly devolved into a deeply personal war of words, with public insults and social media attacks replacing boardroom negotiations. Each jab pushed them further apart, turning a strategic partnership into a bitter rivalry played out on the world stage for all to see. The final chapter was one of pure escalation. When policy disagreements and personal insults weren't enough, the threats became existential. Trump targeted Musk's professional credibility and even his citizenship, while Musk threatened Trump's political ambitions with the specter of a third-party spoiler. It was a masterclass in how quickly things can unravel when two massive egos collide. What began as a disagreement over the direction of the country ended as a personal vendetta, with both men willing to use their immense power to try and bring the other down. Ultimately, the story of Musk and Trump is more than just celebrity drama. It's a powerful lesson about the fragile nature of alliances, especially in the high-stakes worlds of politics and big business. It shows that even partnerships that seem strategically perfect on paper can be completely destroyed by the friction of conflicting priorities, deep-seated personal mistrust, and the corrosive power of public pride. When loyalty is demanded but not given, and when egos are on the line, even the most powerful people can find themselves in a feud with no winners, just a lot of collateral damage.